Let's have a conversation this morning about inbound, shall we? And to do that, we've got to go back in time to circa 2005. Now, let's see if we have any historians in the room. You can talk back. Who knows the significance to this room of 2005? Anybody? Come on. Who said it? You have it. HubSpot. That is the year this little startup in Cambridge came about, which was, of course, HubSpot. Now, many of you have since embraced this little tool that has started a movement with Dharmesh and Brian, the founders. And of course, what's interesting about this, though, is they didn't start using this phrase inbound marketing until 2007. So first came the tool, then came the movement. So oftentimes, that's how it works. You start to build something. You don't necessarily know what you're going to build. I mean, if you get a chance today, literally go back to that website, Wayback Machine, or whatever it's called. Check out HubSpot's first website, and you'll see how much they have evolved as a company today. It's a completely different model, and that's how it works. We start to build, we listen to the marketplace, and then all of a sudden we realize we have something special, and that's what they had. And that's how inbound often works. But for essentially 10 years, literally about 10 years, when we think about this phrase, inbound marketing, it's been this. That's been us for about 10 years. And all those things are fine. But in 2018 and beyond, we must evolve. We must see it as something more. So here's what's interesting. If I came to your company today, right? So let's say we met with one of your salespeople. Let's say we met with somebody on your leadership team, and we had them define inbound for your organization. What would they say? What would your sales team say? More often than not, and this is the reality that we're dealing with, is a salesperson or a leadership team member will oftentimes just shrug their shoulders and say, I guess it's something that our marketing department is doing. Not that any of you have ever felt that before. So how do we get over that? How do we get everybody on the same page? Does your team see this as a program, which is basically you tell everybody this is the thing that we're going to do, and they have to do it, or do they see it differently? It's a great question. Something we've got to think about. And we have been asking this question a lot at Impact. Where are we going? And so what we decided to do is something that you have in your packets, which is essentially we wrote what we're calling our Inbound Manifesto. And we're hoping that as a group, as essentially a community of like-minded individuals, that you're going to buy into this idea, this philosophy as well. What is a manifesto? It's not just, they say it's just a dream until you write it down, and then all of a sudden you can actually have a plan. Have you written down for you what inbound is or what content marketing is or that thing? And then does your team know it? And do you say it in such a way that everybody actually understands, that they can put their arm around it, that they could explain it to a peer, that a new employee could say, you know what, I get that, I understand, that's who I am. That's where we need to go. That's where we need to go. Now, we've got a couple core beliefs. One major summary statement for us is essentially this: with the way that we see, and again, when I say we, I'm talking about everybody in this room, all of you. The way that we see it is inbound is a mindset. It's not some technique. It's not the tactical part. Inbound is a philosophy. It is a culture about the way we do what we do. A culture is really interesting, right? Because if you say, well, why do you all spend so much time teaching these people who could be your competitors how to do what you do? And well, why wouldn't we? It's just who you are. The question is, does your team see it this way? We've got to get them to this point. Now, continuing with this, our obsession is this now. To be inbound is to be helpful. Question for you, and please answer back. Is being helpful going to be critical to your business 20 years from now, yes or no? Yes. Now, if you go to your team and you say to your team, is inbound marketing going to be critical to our business 20 years from now? Most of them are going to say, I don't know. See, the way we talk about this within our organization always matters. The words matter. With an obsession with leading others, whether they are a coworker, whether they are just someone in the industry, somebody that even though they'll never buy from us, we say, but this is what we do. We want to help them to be more successful. It is a mindset. Now, here's the thing. You go past the summary that we have of it, and now let's get specific about some of these core beliefs. Now, here's what's interesting about these. They will affect every element of these next couple of days. In other words, do you get as much as you possibly can out of these next couple of days? So what are our core beliefs? Let's start with the first one here, okay? Belief number 1. And this one, to me, is as serious as anything we will talk about over these next 48 hours. We believe that trust is the most important currency for any business. It's fascinating. I have the greatest job in the world, other than being with my friends at Impact and my friends at River Pools. I get to travel the world and meet with companies, organizations, leaders just like you. And here's what's fascinating. You can essentially take every single audience and you can divide them in 2 types of receivers. In other words, the way that we receive new information. It's fascinating to watch. I don't care. Literally, when I was in Africa, same thing. Europe, same thing. All over North America, same mindset that we have. The first type of audience member, they hear the thing, could be a new idea, new principle, and they say, is that possible for us? Is it possible that we do that thing? Maybe so. Maybe it is. But the second person is very different, aren't they? The second person hears it and they say, well, Marcus, that might have worked for you and your pool company, or Marcus, that might work for you at Impact. But you see, here in my business, go ahead, things are different. Oh, yes. Newsflash. What percentage of businesses in the world truly believe they're different? Yeah, my man said 99. Show me the one. I want to meet them. 100%. 100%. Nobody's ever said to me over the course of my 6 years traveling around the world, nobody's ever said, yeah, Marcus, we're pretty much just like them. I'm like, dude, I've spoken at insurance conferences. All white dudes, 30 to 40, trust me. I know, they're all the same. Yes, you always have permission to laugh at Impact Live. This is a safe environment. Now, what's interesting about this is, yes, we're different. Your people, your processes, your industry. But there is one tie that binds everybody in this room. It is the fundamental building block of all businesses. It's the reason why, it's joy, right? Joy, the reason why somebody, he's like, how did he know my name? Well, Joy, I knew your name because it says your name. Now, Joy, the reason, what do you sell, Joy? Nothing. Oh, you sell something. She said nothing yet, okay? All right, what's an example of what do you sell? What do you sell?
Ready?
Yes. Funerals. Perfect. Couldn't be a better answer. I love talking about morbid things. It's totally my jam. This is so great. What's your name? Laura. Now, Laura, there is literally, I've spoken to funeral directors before. This is a sensitive subject, isn't it? There is a reason after somebody goes through so much grief that they are willing to give you their money in a time of stress in their life, isn't it? And it's the same reason why when I was a pool guy for years, they would say, here, Marcus, here's our money. And let's be honest, that's what we do as businesses. We ask people for their money. And the only emotion that allows them to give you said money is the emotion that we all call trust. And again, that is the building block of all business. And that is the tie that binds all of us in this room. So here's my ask for you. Here's my ask for you. That you don't put yourself in that corner. That you don't say over these next 48 hours at least, that you release this idea that, hey, we're B2B, we're B2C, we're big, we're small, we're local, we're national, we're service, we're a product. We can't afford that. We're too big and we have too much red tape. I'm asking you to see if it's possible. To say, is it possible that we could do that thing? Choose which one of these two you want to be. Are you willing to say it's possible? Say yes if you're with me. Yes. Okay, you're committed now. All right, number two. Sometimes people think this word community is overused. I say it is not. We believe in the power of community. As part of this manifesto, we realize the moment a business lets go of themselves and focuses on everybody else, really amazing things start to happen. You see, some of you came back this year because you felt there was something different about Impact Live last year. And hopefully, over these next 2 days, you're going to feel there's something very different about what's happening here. That although this is a movement, you are an intricate part of that movement, and we cannot do this without you. And you are the most important element of this entire event. It's not the stage. It's not the speakers. It is always going to be you. Community will always matter. 20 years down the road, of course it's going to be relevant to us, regardless of what happens with digital and with tech. We must seek it out, and we must try to develop it. So here's my challenge to you. And you might hear this and say, that sounds kind of silly. This will change all of our experiences if we do this one thing. Everybody ready? Say yes. Yes. Okay, good. Here's our challenge. Our challenge is that we commit to making one new friend apiece over the next 2 days. Just one. If everybody in this audience makes one new friend, if you don't stay in that tight little group of yours the whole time, if you, as a company, let's say there's 3 or 4 of you, and you just sit there and you get a whim and say, you know what, we've sat together pretty much this whole time. Let's change it up. And that's why when you come back in, there's no assigned seats. I know we tend to be like dogs, walk the same path, go to the same seat, go to a different seat. Find a new group. Don't sit next to a coworker. Sit next to somebody that you've never seen in your life, because that is where the magic is going to happen. I promise you. Are you willing to do it? Say yes. Yes. Okay, good. Lots of commitments, you know. This is marketing, folks. We've got to commit. We got to commit. Number three. We always believe there's room for growth. Always room for growth. It's funny what happens to businesses when they get really successful, don't they? I think one of the biggest reasons why you see companies slow to embrace digital, other than the fact that they say, but we're different, is because, frankly, they're fat and happy. They are. They're not experiencing pain. They weren't like my business partner Jason and I in 2009 when we had a lien against our homes. We thought we were going to lose everything. We thought we were going to file for bankruptcy, and we had no choice but to do these things and think differently than we'd ever thought before. We didn't have a choice. People say to me, how did you produce all this content without a content writer, and you weren't even a writer yourself? I mean, for 2 years, I remember going to my wife and saying, I literally said to her, I cannot go to bed at the same time as you anymore because I need to get home and I need to work on this stuff because we got to save the business. And I went from 8 to roughly 5 to 6 hours of sleep a night for 2 straight years. And Jason was doing the same thing because we didn't have a choice. But I don't recommend that on anybody necessarily, because you do have a choice. Most of us in this room, we have the choice to do that thing before prompted by the pain. before we feel like we're going to lose it all. That is the key. It happens all the time with businesses. They get that pride factor. A couple years ago, when I was a pool guy back in the day, and for those that don't know me, just you figured it out. I own a swimming pool company as well. It's called River Pools, right? Got to read the book, I guess, right? And so I owned a swimming pool company for a long time. I still do, partners with my guy Jason here, another guy named Jim. And I would travel around Virginia, Maryland, and I became really, at the time, I got really into Tex-Mex. And I got really into Chipotle. And I was eating Chipotle almost every day. But it wasn't just Chipotle. It was like Baja Fresh, and it was Moe's, and it was all these places. And Rob, if you'd been there, it would have been Pancheros, but they're not in Virginia. This was all these places, right? And so I was totally into it. And I was what you call, or what Malcolm Gladwell would call a maven. And so I was all in. And one day I'm like, you know what, Chipotle, I'm loving your food, but you're missing a couple things that I'm getting all these other places. And so like any normal human being, I sent an email to the corporate office at Chipotle. Who would not to do that, right? And this is what I said to Chipotle. I said, look, man, literally, I said, I love your chicken. I love your food, but there's a couple issues that I'm having. First issue is I eat your food and then I just want something sweet like a cookie. You don't sell any cookies. Why not? Now, y'all saying this guy's totally weird. Maybe. So that was the first thing. The second thing I said to them is look, I go to Moe's, and they have the greatest salsa bar in the history of the world. The green tomatillo is something I dream about. You don't have that. And so why don't you have salsas for me to put on it and not just like your people? Your people never put on enough. I'll say extra, and they're like, So I get a response. That's good. I get a response. It says, I kid you not, it says, thank you, Marcus, for sending us this feedback. I'm like, okay, we're starting off well. He says, now, regarding the cookies. He said, we've really never thought about that. I'm like, you mean to tell me all these people eating your salty food don't want a cookie? I know you've heard that before, right? So I'm like, all right. He's like, we're just not going to grow our menu. Okay. I keep reading. And then he says the thing that just jabs me. He says, and regarding the salsa bar, well, he literally says, it doesn't meet our sanitary requirements. Now, some of you know the story of Chipotle. And then he finishes by saying to me, and this is when I thought to myself, he says, but besides, Marcus, we pretty much were the ones that invented this space. Oh, no, you didn't. You did not tell Pool Guy that you were the ones. But what's funny about it is because they didn't evolve, oftentimes the leader of the previous generation becomes the follower of the next. Don't be that follower. You evolve before everybody else does. And so in order to make this happen, here's my one ask for you. And this is really serious. I mentioned it last year, but it is fundamentally key to our success over these next couple of days, and that is this. As you're listening, as we're here together, focus more on what you hear over what is said. What I say and what everybody else says on this stage doesn't really matter. And I really mean that. The only thing that matters is what do you hear? What is the impression that you get? Because it's the ones that follow those impressions that are going to get the most from this event. Now, really quick, somebody play. Somebody participate. Can somebody here tell me one impression, a thought, whether it was last night or today already, that you have gotten about your business that really wasn't stated, but it's just a thought that you got? Anybody in the audience? Come on. Anybody in the audience? Because you've been here and you're already thinking about your business. This is the state that you're in. Somebody, give it to me. I'll wait. I'm comfortable with silence. Come on, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Fire away, brother.
My content is in the talks I already give to my clients.
Okay, so my content, say it one more time. My content is already in the talk that I give to my clients. I just need to put it on the dang screen. I love that. Nobody said that yet, but that's the feeling you got. What was the name? Was it Dan? What was the name? Daniel. Dan. I thought it was. Yeah, Dan. I love that. Let's give Dan a round of applause. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave you with one final challenge. And that is this wonderful phrase that impacts all of us. And that is this. Wherever you are, be there. So we have a choice, don't we? You have a choice every second of this event. You can check out whenever you want. You can look at that wonderful little device in your back pocket anytime, especially when we're in a group setting and you're like, default, don't have anybody to talk to. I'm going to look like I'm busy working right now. Something important is coming through. Or we can get out of that zone and we can really, truly be present over the course of 2 days. That is the choice that we have. That is the choice that we have. So be here. Don't be anywhere else. Those fires will work themselves out, I promise. They need to learn anyway, back at the office, how to figure this stuff out. You get a fire, here's the response. What do you think? And then you're done. And then you're done. That's a good one. You can clap to that. You can clap to that. Okay. So it's a new era of inbound. This is our mindset. You down with it, Francis? A new way of looking at it. We all need to take this vision out to the marketplace, out to our teams, out to the industry. And if we do this, we literally, I don't say this, it's not cliche, I mean it, we are going to change business as we know it. That's what's possible if we do this. You have been amazing. Let's have an incredible couple days. Thank you very much.